Okay, so we're going to start off with Brodie's training video by starting with how to operate the remote collar. So the remote collar gives us the ability to communicate to Brodie from a distance, whether he's 20 feet away or up to a half mile away. So this sends him a signal that he's done something incorrect. Like, let's say you give him a command to come to you and he doesn't, you could say no, correction, come, and he knows that that means get back over here versus just not getting a correction at all. So when we're working with Brodie, everything's about balance. We reward the behaviors we like to increase the rate of those behaviors, and we correct the behaviors we don't like to decrease the rate of those behaviors. So barking, jumping, begging, anything like that, we want to correct that, and then reward behaviors that are appropriate, like sitting, laying down, staying on place, walking next to us, coming when called. So we are going to turn on his collar. So on his collar, you'll see a little red dot right there. That is a magnet, and the key to turn on the remote is through that magnet. So on his remote itself, on the side, you have a matching little red dot. We're going to touch the two together to turn on the collar. So we're going to line them up and just tap. You tap them together, you see a green light, that means the collar is on and charged. So the green light will flash every few seconds to let you know that it is still on and charged. If you tap it again by accident, you'll see a red light that turns the collar off. So we will turn it on, tap him, and then we'll set this off to the side. So his collar is on. You're going to turn that on before you put it on Brodie. Now we're going to go over the remote part. So on the back of the remote, you have the big button in the middle right here. We're going to push and hold that until the screen lights up. Screen is on, good to go. So he is at level 20 out of 100, which is not that intense. So when we are correcting Brodie, there has to be a reason for it. He did something incorrect or he didn't listen to our commands. Those are the two reasons. So if he does one of those two reasons, we are going to tell him no. We're going to make a verbal marker explaining that he did something incorrect. So we're going to say no, and then we're going to follow through with a correction with the remote collar. On the side, we have the black S button. That is going to be the primary button you're going to use. So I will show you. So my hand right here is Brodie. Did something incorrect. No, push the black S button, and it sends that little stimulation. The red light means it's stimulating. So no, push it again. And that's uncomfortable, but it's not completely, unbearable. So that's what sends Brodie the signal that he did it incorrect and to do it right the next time. It's all about balance. So the red S button is the boost feature. So I have not needed this for Brodie, but you have it in case you need it. So the red S button is right here. If we push and hold that, you'll see that it actually doubles to 40. This is just something that if he is super distracted, sometimes the tolerance for discomfort goes up with distractions. So we match that with the boost level. Again, I haven't needed it, but you have it just in case. An example to use it is if you're practicing off leash and he sees something really distracting, you try to correct him to come back to you because he didn't listen the first time, and he is able to ignore level 20, you go right to level 40 and correct as many times as you need to. Haven't needed it, but just in case you have it if you need it. On the opposite side, we have the T button, which is just vibrate. Brodie, I actually tried this instead of the stimulation correction, and it scared him. So I would not recommend that. You can try it maybe later on in the future if you want to try and get away from the stimulation, but it did scare him a little bit. So I would use with caution because that can sometimes be intimidating for him. So when to use the remote: whenever he does something that he shouldn't be doing or ignores your commands. Those are the two reasons he should use the remote, so stay consistent with it. Next, we're going to go over the other features. So on the back here, the on-off button, if you just tap it, it can turn into a flashlight for Brodie. So you see that I've tapped it twice, and he is now a flashlight, so you can see him in the dark. His collar turns into a flashlight. If you want it to shut off, tap it again. So tap, it flashes. Tap again, solid flashlight. Tap one more time, shuts off. The little button on the side here is M/C. That stands for momentary versus continuous. Momentary is this, what you see, the red light. It's just a little tap. Continuous would mean it would continuously stimulate until your finger was off the button. We don't need that feature right now for Brodie. He is past that point in his training. We also have the dial right here. This increases and decreases the level, but I have it locked, so you can't accidentally turn it up or down on Brodie. But if you wanted to turn it up because level 20 isn't enough, or turn it down because you think it's too high, you would push and hold this until the 1D was flashing and you can see it's no longer on level 20. You can then increase and decrease the level, and then when you have it back to where you want it, you push down and lock it in place. And the 1D will stay solid, it won't be flashing anymore. This is rechargeable and waterproof. The charging port is on the back, so you just flip this little tab up, push it down, make sure that's shut. That way, if it does get wet, the electronics are safe. This is rechargeable too, so underneath here where the prongs are, that's where the little charging port is. So when Brodie wears this, he can wear it anywhere underneath his neck, on the side, underneath, or on the side like this. I typically try and keep it under here versus up top because he could have different tolerances to discomfort underneath, and he could be tougher up here. So we don't want to have to increase the level. We could just keep it down here where it's a little bit more sensitive. So he has a couple extra collars because with Brodie, he has correction, not aggression, but he doesn't like to get corrected in certain scenarios, like when he sees another dog. He almost thinks that the other dog is going to correct him, so you have to be very consistent in saying no and giving the correction so he knows it's from not listening to the commands, not from the other dog or the distraction. So his collars, and I will show a picture so you can see how they look, is actually going to go remote collar, prong collar, slip collar. This slip collar is just hanging on him. It is not attached to any leash or anything. It's just there because sometimes when we are in high distraction environments, like when we're walking through the suites, he gets so aroused. So instead of correcting him, I guide him through where he needs to go. I guide him with the slip leash, so it's just hanging off of him. Your leash attaches to the prong collar, and the leash should be nice and relaxed when you're walking him, and when you need to correct him, you will say no, push the button, and you can also tug the leash just a little bit to reiterate you need to be walking next to me, or you need to sit, or you need to lay down, or whatever that is, to help correct and guide him. This is to guide him through distracting environments, normal to moderate distractions, and just consistently all the time. So that's how it will look on Brodie's neck, plus his flat collar if you want it. It is a lot of collars. I understand it looks kind of funny, but this is just temporary until he is consistently listening to you at home. So this is just temporary to make sure that he follows the rules with you at home, just like he's following the rules with me here. So in your remote collar box, we have the extra band, I guess you can call it, in case this one breaks or anything. You have that. It shouldn't, but just in case. This is the charger, so you can charge both the collar and the remote at the same time. And then over here are just some tools. This little black tool right here is to tighten the prongs. If you plan on taking him in water, I would make sure they're tight so water doesn't seep in and ruin the electronics of it. He doesn't have long hair, so you don't have to worry about these longer ones. And this is the instruction manual if you want to go over all of the functions in greater detail, but we covered everything that you'll have to know for it. So with Brodie, stay consistent. You want to make sure that your boundaries are very crystal clear. You set, the first 5 minutes of every walk, you set it very clearly. You're walking next to me, we're going to be nice and calm. And of course, we want to reward behaviors that he does that we like. We're not just here to correct him. We want to reward behaviors that he does, like healing next to us. Bring treats on your walk, so every once in a while you can give him a treat, tell him he's doing a good job. That's his pay. So we need to pay him for doing the training. It's not bribing, it's saying, hey, I think you've done a good job. here's your reward, and then we move on. So his commands are heel, sit until you say free, come when called, down until you say free, place until you say free. So sit, down, and place are all stay commands, but you don't have to say stay. You just remind them sit, or you remind them place, and then when you're ready for them to get up, you tell them free, and then of course leave it. And then I can't remember if I said come when called, but come is that command, and then leave it. If you drop something on the floor, you tell him leave it, and then if he continues to go for it, you correct him. So now we are going to show you Brodie's commands. Heel. Sit. Sit. Heel. Heel. No. Nope. Heel. Excuse me. Heel. No. Sit. Sit. No. Sit. 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 Heel. Free. Excuse you. Excuse you. You're free. Come. Sit. Good boy. Free. Good. Come. Sit. Good boy. Good job. Sit. 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 Free. Good boy. Down. Good boy. Down. 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 Good boy. Down. Good down. Free. Good boy. Good job. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. You don't want that one? Okay. Okay. Okay, you go. Wait, do. Wait, do, Brodie. Wait, do. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. Good boy. Good job. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch. Wrong legs. Place. Good boy. Place. Place.